Almost 10 years ago, I was $10,000 in debt, had two failed businesses, and felt like giving up. But what I learned from those failures completely changed my life and my business. And today I run a thriving web design agency, and I'm sharing exactly what went wrong and the lessons that helped me turn it all around. This is the first time that you're tuning into my YouTube channel. My name is Peter, and I own a web design agency. And it wasn't until almost 10 years ago that I was working for full time at my church. And I actually had just had my second baby. And I live in Los Angeles, and Los Angeles is the second most expensive place to live in the United States. And my expenses were just rising to the top after having my second child. And so I said, hey, you know what? I really enjoy working at my full-time job. I didn't want to leave it. So I said, hey, I need to start a side hustle so that I can start making a lot more money. And so I was good at productivity and time management. So I had a fantastic idea, at least what I thought at the time. So I thought, hey, I'm going to create like a website and I'm going to sell mini courses about productivity and time management. And so every single day since I had a full time job, I started waking up at 4 a.m. and I would start working on building these mini courses about productivity and time management and building a beautiful website so that I could showcase the mini courses. And I thought, hey, this is going to be so amazing. I just need to make a couple $1,000s every month to help to pay out with my expenses since I was, had a full-time job and I was having, um, experiencing rising costs and inflation and all those things. So after about 3 months of working on my website and building a brand new website, I decided to launch, and I was hoping just to make a few $1,000s, sell a few courses, and you know what happened? I actually ended up selling only two courses. Only two people bought from me, and my courses were selling, or they were priced at $17.99. $17.99 was the price, and it ended up failing. And I was just so sad because I was like, oh my gosh, 90 days of my life. And I was waking up every single day hoping to achieve success, and it was a miserable failure. And I felt burnt out, and I was disappointed after months of effort. And the thing is that I should have started small with maybe just one course and a simple landing page to test out whether people even wanted what I was offering in the first place. So after my first failure, I decided, you know what I need? I need to hire a business coach. So I ended up hiring a guy. I found a guy that was in a very famous marketers like Inner Circle, and he was recommended to me. So I said, hey, sure, I'll hire this guy. And he told me, hey, send me all your stuff, and I'll take a look at it, and I'll let you know what you did wrong. So he took a look at it, and he says, aha, I know what you did wrong. Is that you went too low end. You're selling your courses for $17.99, $18 pretty much, and it's not believable. Nobody's going to think that, you're a credible guy, that you know exactly what you're talking about. What you should do instead is that you need to go high end. So basically go in the opposite direction and sell your productivity and time management as coaching to CEOs of businesses and things like that for $5,000 and $10,000 a piece. And to me, that sounded like a wonderful idea. So I went and I found a course that shows just to do that, that does grabs you by the hand and shows you how to do high end coaching and to have a coaching business, to sell high end coaching to CEOs of businesses, and that course cost $10,000. And of course, you already know that I was already in a hard financial situation. I didn't have $10,000, but I did have a credit card that had more than $10,000 in a credit line. So, cha-ching, I swiped and I charged that $10,000 course on my credit card. All right. And then after that, I went ahead and I bought the course, and it took me another 90 days, another 3 months. And I built another website, and I followed all the directions that were in the course. And I came up with this coaching idea and my webinar, and I did everything that was in that coaching course to help me to create coaching for high-end clients. And they, in that coaching course, they taught you how to create ads so that you run cold traffic to your offers, and then how to warm them up and how to basically win people over. And so I did everything that I was told. And, I found that all the other students that were with me in the coaching course that they were experiencing success. So when I launched mine, I thought mine was going to succeed just like theirs. And you know what? After I launched mine, no matter how many ads I did, nobody clicked. Or if they clicked, nobody would take the offer. And even if they offered, nobody wanted to get on the phone. Nobody, even though I had an email sequence, I had everything that I was told to do, but my email sequences didn't work. Everything just was going down the tubes and it wasn't working. Even though when people from that coursing coach would take a look at my ads to troubleshoot it, or they would look at my email sequence and they're like, no, your ads are fine, and your your email sequence is just fine, and you're nurturing. We don't know what's wrong, just give it some more time. But when you give it more time, you have to pay more money in advertising, and try different ads maybe. And I didn't have that luxury because I was already into debt and I didn't have a long runway. And so I realized it's not enough to create a polished product or service. You have to really test whether it's something people actually want and are willing to pay for. And the people that I wanted to cater for, the busy CEOs and time management, they never had the time to go on social media and go watch my stuff anyways. So it was just, it was definitely a bad offer mismatch. So at that point, I was really downtrodden. I had two failed businesses under my belt. I remember sitting at the dining table in my house and just looking at the floor, just thinking, how am I going to make ends meet? It seemed like this was a dark tunnel, and the dark tunnel was getting longer and longer. And I remember my wife one day, she came and she saw me at that point at the dining table. She looked me up, she looked at me, and she says, you know what? It's okay. I believe in you. I know we're going to make it. And her encouragement really helped me to go a long way to say, hey, you know what? There must be some kind of solution out there. And it wasn't until a few days later that out of the blue, one of my friends who has a marketing agency called me and he says, hey, Pete, I wanted to ask you if you're interested in something. And I said, sure, what's up? He said, hey, um, as you know, I have a marketing agency and I have a lot of my clients that want websites. And I know that you're good at building websites. Now, what do you say that you do white labeling for me? And I'm like, what's white labeling? And he's like, well, white labeling is basically when you act as if you're a part of my team, but really you're an independent contractor. And I said, yeah, sure. That sounds like a good idea. So he said, okay, great. You start on Monday. So that's how my web design agency started. And I started building websites for him. He started to pay me, and it was a match made in heaven. And I ended up growing to beyond that point. And I started creating web design uh, and offering my services to other companies besides his. And my web design agency has grown ever since. So here's where I learned to double down on what I was naturally good at. And instead of just chasing trends or ideas that didn't align with my skills, I decided to do what was my actual core strength. So now let me tell you about the lessons learned. And I put together 7 lessons that you can learn from my 2 failures and how I finally found success. And hopefully these will be able to be actionable tips that you can incorporate in your business right away. So lesson number 1 is build an MVP. So you don't want to and if you're not familiar with what an MVP is, it stands for minimum viable product. And so you don't want to overinvest in a perfect product before testing the idea. And so that was my problem, is that I spent so much money into my first website to make it look beautiful, and I built multiple mini courses about productivity and time management thinking, hey, people are going to smash them up and I'm not going to be able to keep up with demand. Boy, was I wrong. Nobody was interested, only 2 people, and it was a tiny amount. So what you want to do is, instead of building multiple iterations of your course or of your product or service, just build one, the minimum amount, create a single landing page, and then go out there and test the waters with your market. Go and find an audience, run ads to it, whatever you want. Maybe send it to a friend's audience. There's different ways to test it out. Test it on social media, but basically only build in a minimum viable product for whatever it is that you want to test. And whether you have a startup business or whether you already have an established business and you're thinking about launching a new course or a new product or service, still build an MVP within your business. Lesson number 2 is test your offers. Validate that your product or service solves a real problem that your audience actually cares about. So the problem of productivity and time management is an actual problem. But the thing is that I was also going to the wrong place. Like if people are having time management problems and they're not managing their time well, are they really going to be able to go and see my ads on social media, and are they really going to be able to know that they have a problem in the first place? So sometimes they're oblivious, that they even have time management problems. So I was approaching it definitely in the wrong way, and definitely like the way I was putting in my offer was totally wrong. And I think that there's multiple ways that you can test your offer, and I think that a lot of times we think as business owners that, hey, I have this great idea, it's going to sell like hotcakes. But I think instead you should approach it more like a data scientist or just a scientist. And there's the scientific method where you're creating a hypothesis and then you go ahead and you test it out. That's kind of what you want to do with your offer. It's a good idea to have more than one offer for a single product or service that you're offering or a course, and test out the offer. Hey, what happens if I add this to the offer? If I minus this, how about if I, strategically place the offer in this kind of way, or, frame it in this particular way as opposed to this other way, and do A/B testing. I think that's really going to go a long way and to help you out and to see where you're hitting the mark and where you're missing it. Lesson number 3 is leverage your strength. For me, my strength is web design, and I was good at it. But instead, I was like, hey, there's maybe these other core areas that I might be decent at, and so let me go ahead and leverage those. But the thing is that while that's true, I was good also at time management and productivity. The market had a high demand for web design skills, and so that's where it has to match your strength and the market's desire for that strength, or your skill has to match together and has to line up. So make sure that whatever it is that you're providing, you're using your strength and your core, what you can offer, and that there's an actual desire in the marketplace for it. Lesson number 4 is be willing to pivot. So failure isn't the end, it's just feedback. Stay open to shifting directions based on new opportunities or insights. So that's why you have to, when you approach it like a scientist, then you're able to see, hey, what happens with the results after you tested it out? Did you get good results? Did you get not good results? Don't feel like you're a failure. A lot of times, us as business owners, we feel like, hey, we don't want to fail, we only want to have success. But the thing is that you cannot separate success from failure, or failure from success. The two are intertwined. And I learned this from one of my mentors, John Maxwell. And I highly recommend his book, Failing Forward. It's a phenomenal book. And he really changed my mind about failure and how important it is. And he has this thing called the cycle of success. I highly recommend that you look into it or you try it out. You can look it up at John Maxwell's Cycle of Success, and talks about failure, and it's a wonderful thing. So always be willing to pivot when things don't go right the first time around. Lesson number 5 is don't undervalue yourself. So my problem with my pricing for the mini courses about productivity and time management is that I was selling them for $17.99. Nobody was believing me. I wasn't credible. So pricing too low can undermine your credibility, while charging too high without value can also feel misaligned. So you want to have that correct price, and that right point where you're offering value, and it's also something that your clients can afford and that they think that you could be able to deliver, and help them achieve the results. Lesson number 6 is seek the right opportunities. So sometimes success isn't about forcing your current idea to work. It's about recognizing when a new opportunity aligns better with your skills and the market. And that's really important. If I hadn't been open to my friend's suggestion to white label website designs and to white label websites, I might still be stuck trying to sell something that wasn't working. And so that's why you want to make sure that you're seeking the right opportunities. Lesson number 7 is ask for help. Hiring a coach or seeking feedback can provide clarity, even if their advice isn't the final solution. And if you can find the right kind of help and ask for the right kind of help from the right kind of person, that's even better. So my coach that I hired, while he didn't give me the best advice or the correct advice that led me to success, but it was a stepping stone to success. Because if I hadn't done the coaching, I think I would have tried the coaching route anyway sometime down the road, because somebody else would have told me that that's the solution, and it would have failed anyways for me. It just wasn't the right match, and I wasn't the right person to do that. So if you can find the right coach and to find the right people to help you out along the way, I think that's going to go a long way to also you finding success. So one of the biggest reasons my web design agency took off was because I learned how to turn a website into a sales machine. And so if you're ready to learn how to do that for your business, check out this video right here that I just recorded, and it's packed with practical tips and you don't want to miss it.